Ladies and gentlemen, our next session is the impact of AI on digital content and streaming platforms.
Ready for another AI panel? Let's do it. All right. So I'm here with John, Jinx, David, and Adam. Maybe each one of you can give us a quick intro about who you are, what you do.
Sure. John Steinlauf, Chief U.S. Advertising Sales Officer at Warner Brothers Discovery.
Jinx Joglekar, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Dish. I run marketing for Sling and acquisition for Dish.
Hi, David McNaughton, SVP of Marketing for Mediacom Communications, not Mediacom Ad Agency.
Adam Singolda, founder and CEO at Taboola.
Great. Thank you. So let's talk AI for a little bit, gentlemen. Did you see it coming? Did you see AI coming? Were you surprised by it?
Well, I remember at CES at the beginning of 23, flying back and hearing about ChatGPT for the first time.
A year ago.
My seatmate on the plane was educating me, saying it's going to be big, and he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw it coming. I think we were talking about it backstage. I mean, it's not new. I think the thing that surprised us all was, you know, that conversation you had at ChatGPT became a New York Times article, and then every boardroom, every ELT meeting became, okay, let's start doing things on ChatGPT. Let's write a job rec. Let's do an ad campaign. Let's do that. And I just had never seen the speed of technology permeate the boardroom that quickly, ever.
AI is definitely the next big thing, but always the next big thing is a lot like the last big thing. And if I look back in terms of 10 or 20 years ago, and I'm an old guy now, the things from, if you think machine learning 5 years ago, or predictive analytics with media mix modeling and churn analysis to understand different things about different customers, those things have been around for 20 years. AI just helps us get to the next level of understanding it better and better.
We're going to do the rounds, huh?
Let's see it. Let's see it. I mean, come on.
So I think, you know, to me, this is a great mic, by the way.
Yours is very good.
So to me, first, I mean, there's like so much AI, it's a bit exhausting, but it's like punctuation now. You can't just finish a sentence without saying, like, you know, honey, what's for dinner with AI? Like, so, but the truth is that if you take a step back, there's really two types of AI, right? There's the AI that's been around for a long time, and it's actually the most important AI, in my opinion, because that's, you know, we used to have machine learning, and then it moved into deep learning, and deep learning has been around for about 7 years. And I think, you know, if you're an investor or you're an executive in this industry, you know that it's quite hard to do true deep learning and true AI. There's a huge difference between machine learning, ML, deep learning, DL, and bullshit, BS. You know, but if you truly focus on the middle one, which is deep learning, that's the core of what we see on search. That's the core of what we see on Instagram. That's the whole, you know, magic and brains behind matching between millions or billions of people and millions or billions of pieces of information. That is really hard. Then you have the recent madness, which is the generative AI, which personally I think it's a bit too dramatic. I mean, it's nice. I think it opened our eyes to AI can be something accessible to everyone, not only, you know, behind the screen and all that stuff. But I mean, I don't think anyone is losing their job. That's not happening. I think we're going to see a lot of new innovation. And, you know, it's short term, I think, a lot of productivity, like it's going to make people better, companies better, all that stuff. But it's going to take time before we see something that as big as what I think some say it is right now.
The predicted, analysts say, something like that. But to your point about features, so Jinx, Sling, you have unique features like a la carte. How do you think AI helps create better features for your products?
Yeah, I think for us, the way we think about AI is kind of twofold. One is, and I'm on the marketing side, I'm on the acquisition side, how do we actually leverage AI, machine learning, to understand the content that a customer wants to watch to bring them into the platform? So that's things like dynamic creative, understanding that, you know, Steve likes the NBA, so when Steve's online, we can actually serve him an ad that way, right? That's what things like tools like Zeta helps us with that, right? How do we use that to serve dynamic creative? Then when you come into the platform, right, how do we actually then use AI to drive our curation, right? Because it's great that I brought you in with the NBA, but then we also want to know what content you will watch more of so that we can keep you stickier in the platform. So that's the way we think about how, not only how we use AI to acquire, but then also how we use same concept to actually retain, drive more viewership, et cetera.
Right on. John, what about you with the NBA, TNT,
Yeah.
Max?
NBA season coming up. We open up on TNT on October 24th with the Nuggets, the champions, hosting the Lakers. But we also announced the last couple of days that we're going to simulcast TBS and TNT sporting events on the Max platform. For the first 5 months, we're going through a preview period. And eventually, around March 1st, before the NCAA tournament, it'll go to a tier.
Great. So now, David, the introduction of AI in your marketing creates new opportunities or what, accelerates old ones?
Like I was saying before, it really accelerates old ones because things are changing in our industry sort of dramatically, as you've seen in the last couple of weeks with the Disney charter dispute that's been all over the headlines. That right now the video model is broken for those of us that sell linear video. People don't want to pay $150 for everything. They want to just get what they want. So what we hope to do in the industry and hope to work with the programmers to allow us to do this is to allow more customizable content for customers that just gives them what they want to watch when they want to watch it and doesn't make them pay for things they don't want to watch. And that's a completely different model than's been before. Before, every programmer was to get paid for 85 or 90% of every customer we have, and it doesn't let us sell customers $20 or $30 packages. So our hope is that with data that we, along with programmers, can get, we can target customers better and bring people back into the MVPD ecosystem, whether it's cable or satellite, and whether that's a streaming platform or a full linear platform. We do want to try to, we haven't given up on video. We do think we can make money on video, but it's a matter of what we have now doesn't quite work. And I think we're just getting to the point the industry knows that and has to fix it because it's broken.
Okay. Adam, you look like you're chomping at the bit.
For us, so Taboola, we power, if you think about what we do, we help people discover things in the open web. So that's everything outside of Google, Facebook, Amazon. We want to build kind of like the largest advertising company that empowers publishers and journalism and local news and national news. All this stuff we hope our kids spend more time consuming versus TikTok and Instagram, right? So as we think about our vision and mission as it relates to AI and really activate it so that it can be used and create impact, not just a great slogan on a PR. So for publishers, the first thing we do is we help them create this personalized experience on the homepage. So if you go to CNBC or ESPN, what websites that we love, how can it be the closest to the experience we have on TikTok and Instagram, which is amazing. It's just filled with things you hope nobody sees. But quality journalism is so important for humanity. So we're trying to bring the good things that social companies do, which is all of us use it all the time. The average consumer spends 50 minutes plus a day just on TikTok and about 1.5 minutes a day reading the news. So there's a huge spread. Like, we want people to consume things that matter to them: healthcare, science, tech, news. So to do that, we're bringing the experience of a feed that's beautiful and personalized to every page on the internet. To advertisers, what we're trying to do, especially small businesses, but also mid-sized clients, is we're trying to give them, it's very easy to open a campaign on Google. It's easy to open a campaign on Zeta. Yeah. It's easy to open a campaign on Facebook, but it's fairly complicated to advertise with EdTech. EdTech is this thing that was invented about 15, 20 years ago. You have hundreds of companies. Every company has their own team, their own interface, their own product, different formats, but it's so easy to buy Facebook and Google. So what if it was that easy to also buy the internet, the open web? So we're trying to make it oversimplify the process so that advertisers can say, just get me clients and just do the work. But so the same experience in the open web.
Sure. So your point about social is fascinating because we're all numb to notifications. Jinx, you and I were just talking about it. You got a notification from CVS about being able to get your COVID booster. Well, each of us probably had at least one meeting notification go off on our phone while we've been sitting here. We're completely and totally numb to it. So consumer engagement, channel surfing is now app surfing. You're no longer just flicking through channels. You go to the different apps. You try to figure out what you got going on. What am I going to watch? So if we're so numb to the idea of notifications, in entertainment, we don't really see a lot of this right now. So is technology a catalyst for an improved experience? So like for you, John, do you see technology playing a role in enhancing the advertising experience for advertisers and for the viewers? What does that look like?
Oh, the advertisers that we talk to all the time, they care most about targeting. Yeah. They have their own data. We supplement that with our data. But they're looking at a fraction of the country. So if the country is 330 million people, a typical advertiser may prioritize a third, a quarter, a fifth of those people. And the technology today that we now have, whether even in linear, but more in streaming, is the ability to fire ads at specific targets with little or no waste. And that's a big part of our future. We call it advanced advertising, but it covers a lot of this technology. But it's being able to identify individual IP addresses and be able to say, I want to reach 60 million IP addresses that have this common viewing characteristic or common behavior, and then reach those people at a certain amount of frequency and try to avoid reaching anybody else. And a platform like ours, where we have one of the biggest TV and streaming platforms in the industry, we can do a lot of that through one transaction.
Yeah, Jinx, I know you got something.
Yeah,
on
I mean,
this.
I was going to piggyback because we obviously work in the same business. We do a lot of business together and competing sometimes. But we do the same thing, right? So if you think about Sling, over-the-top, linear, we're the first addressable advertiser. So back to John's point, one-to-one. Like, we know what you're watching. We know what content you watch. We know who you are within the four walls of our app. And so we're able to serve you that. On the Dish side, now we ported that technology over there as well. So now we have addressable advertising, not only in streaming, but also in satellite. And so that one-to-one piece is really important for me as a marketer and for my peers as marketers buying on the platform. But then the question is, then how do we also then enrich that data, right? So how do we create, at least internally, a CDP type or CRM where we know what you're watching, we know how you're interacting, we know what messages you're interacting with, if you're interacting with a push, interacting with an email, and all that really feeds into our customer data profile, so we know how to get and reach you not only in our four walls, but outside. So that's sort of like the nirvana for us.
Our business is a little bit different because we're only 3 million customers of the 330 million. So that's all the homes we can serve. So as an advertiser, when I'm trying to advertise to get new customers to buy my product versus Dish or DirecTV or the other guys, it comes down to how do I target those customers differently? And half of them I have as internet customers and half I don't. So I really have to carve out the message differently based on what I know about them. So addressable advertising as a marketer has been something that's been the holy grail for years, and I think we're finally getting there.
I don't think we're numb at all to notifications. I think we're numb to bad notifications. I think we're numb to things that are not relevant to us, but the things that are relevant to us, we love to get them all day long and as much as we can. As an example, your iMessages, are always on because you want to make sure you get a message for someone that you care about, right? So that's always on. And then as you go down the food chain, you get to things you never want to get notifications from. So I think the question is, how relevant is it to us? Because we only have 24 hours a day. That will never change. But so long that it's relevant, and look at the young audiences. They give all of their data. They'll do anything they can in exchange for value. So long that it's valuable and it's relevant, you'll do anything for it. I would argue you would even pay to see relevant ads. I like Instagram ads. I mean, I don't even know why I click on them. But they're good. I like Taboola ads. I would pay to get those ads because they're good to me, and I buy those products. Amazon ads, how many times did you go to buy something on Amazon and you ended up buying something you had no idea you were supposed to buy? How many boxes do you have outside of your house as it relates to a few years ago now? There's a growth in buying things you don't really need because it's relevant to you.
Most of us are on a first-name basis with the UPS driver at this point. It comes every day.
Fair.
So we get it. So, all right, so you've already mentioned Charter and ESPN. I think this is a worthy conversation because that changes our foot in the industry at large. Content's king. Live sports, as we talk about, drives the bus. It's the number one thing that viewers are looking for, and that's the number one thing that gets people's attention consistently. Mm-hmm. So, David, I know you have a pretty unique point of view on what this might look like, but when you think about the impact of engagement and satisfaction, how do you think about technology in that point of view?
The main thing I'm trying to do is not what people are going to watch, but what's going to get them to make a decision to change their video platform to me or to move to their internet platform to me. So it's a little bit different than trying to get ratings for a Time Warner from ad sales standpoint. To me, it comes down to what are the things that I can say to make the customers like my brand? What value can I give to them that gets past the old stereotype of the cable company acting like a monopoly, not giving them the ability to personalize and to customize for things they want. We've sort of forced people to buy a bundle of services they don't want. So I'm trying to figure out how do I tell them something different than I did before, because I can't keep trying to sell the same thing year after year after year at a higher price. So how do I figure out how to sell one product to customer A and the second product to customer B? And all that comes down to data, and the data I can get both internally that I can use and externally that I can use. And a big challenge we're all having is the use of data going against the trend for privacy protection, starting in California and moving east.
Yeah.
How do I get past that? How do I get comfortable with our legal department and others that those are things that we can do and get more and more powerful from? That's what keeps me up at night.
It's a tricky balance between personalization and privacy. But
Yeah.
for Jinx, for you, from an engagement standpoint, from enhancements, it's got to always be personalization.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. We're a little bit of the opposite end of your spectrum, right? Like on the Sling side, at least, because we are the thing that is very flexible. You can buy it at that moment. You can watch, that the CU Oregon game, and it's at 1:30, and you're going to sign in at 1:29 and buy it.
Yeah.
So the challenge for us is how we actually promote discovery, right? So yes, you wanted to watch the game, but we have other games. We have other networks. We have other add-ons you can get from us, and that was part of why we launched earlier this year our fast service, free ad-supported, which is called Free Stream, right? Because essentially, if you want to come in and you only want to come in for that event, we provide the flexibility for you, to, of course, to cancel, but then stick around on the platform, watch for great free content, and then what that allows us to do is learn more about what you like. So that way, when that next show comes, if you're into reality and the Golden Bachelor is last night, I guess.
Tonight.
ABC. We can. You can tell I'm really into the Golden Bachelor. We can promote that for you, and with that notification, back to what you said, right in the app, say, hey, buy now, and start watching.
What about for you, Adam? Like when you think of your products, when you think of Taboola, you think in personalization, or are you thinking that you could use technology to do better at maybe finding misinformation that's out there on the internet and keeping that out of view, or keeping that away from individuals?
I think of both. I think any company that has large distribution to consumers needs to be responsible and liable for what they do as it relates to misinformation, the health of consumers. We reach about 600 million people every day, which is more than Snap and X combined, which means that there's a lot of articles, videos, products, apps people discover on Taboola. On an annual basis, it's about 40 billion times someone discovers a new article or video or product thanks to Taboola. So we have to think about how do we do a good job so that it's relevant and it's exciting and it's insightful. And on the other side, how do we make sure that there's a policy that says we don't do those things? And those things, it doesn't have to be something that's regulated or obvious. It can be softer things. Do you do tobacco? We don't have to answer that question. But you can pick up topics that you're just not sure you want to be in the business of. And then the most important thing is to make a public policy that says, this is who I am. You can disagree or agree with me, but I'm going to be consistent around making sure that it's safe. So that's a human job. That's not AI. Because humans have got, AI is great predicting the past. It's only able to predict things that have already happened before and use that data to see the future. Humans have a gut feeling.
Steve, I'm looking on the screen here. The name of our panel is The Impact of AI on Digital Content and Streaming. We just went through 156 days of negotiations with the WGA, the Writers Guild.
Yeah.
And thankfully, a couple of days ago, we came to a resolution, and it has been approved and ratified. So it's been a lot of impact. I mean, the word impact is, nothing was written for the movies or for television. Nothing scripted was written in 156 days. We're so happy to have them back to work.
6 months.
Because that's it's the heartbeat. What we do. We're a sports, news, entertainment, lifestyle, movie company, but we're just very relieved. And now I just want to mention that while we're talking about AI.
So it's a good point, because each of you are in the business of trying to acquire, grow, retain customers and advertising. That is your business. Mm-hmm. And technology plays a role in your day-to-day in different ways. That's a great example of how technology plays a role in your day-to-day, because AI was at the core of some of that strike. But now, talk to me about your actual day-to-day not dealing with that. How is technology playing a role for you?
Well, it's so
not AI, just technology.
Just technology. It's so important for us to be able to know what's going on with our clients. And creativity is at the heart of the advertising sales business today. So what we have to do is we have to know our clients, and if AI is a tool that we can use to be able to do better understanding of client objectives, because we can't always find out exactly what's going on with every one of our 1,000 clients. So it's a tool for us to be able to do creative research and be able to present ideas that are going to make smarter partnerships for us with our clients.
Great. Now, Dave, you have a very unique perspective on this as well because of, so like you said before, a market like LA. You don't have great coverage. So talk to us a little bit how you use technology to do better in a market like that.
Yeah, for us, our challenge is in any market, we're in part of the LA DMA, for instance.
Yeah.
We have a couple really small places. We have about 0.5% coverage of the LA DMA. So I can't buy broadcast TV. I can't buy newsprint. I can only buy a few certain things. And traditionally, cable has all been about direct mail. And of course, direct mails cost more. Response rates, we used to say 0.8 is the new 1% response rate, and now it's 0.2 or 0.16. It just keeps going down. So we have to find different ways to target individual customers. So we're really reliant on data to help tie into email, which we're working with Zeta and digital display, all the digital components to more finely target on an IP basis. First, which customers could buy our product, because I'm not wired to a customer's home. I can't serve them anything. And secondly, are they a customer or non-customer? Because my message to them is quite different if they're a current internet customer or current video customer if they're not. So it comes down to really having a different message for every customer and using data to know how do I separate those messages to different customers.
Efficiencies.
Yes.
Right. Jinx, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in the beginning, right? Like how do we think about using AI, machine learning, et cetera, to target the right customers? Adam hit it, which I thought was awesome, which is like, I'll pay for good advertising as a consumer, right? And you are, right? You're paying with your wallet, right? You're paying with your credit card swipe. And so we need to be that targeted from a creative level, from what the placement is, and then when you come on site, what you're actually viewing to convert. And so I always say to my team, really, like, there's no line between a chief marketing officer and a chief digital officer anymore. It's one thing, it's a cohesive journey, and it doesn't matter how good your creative is, if it's in bad media and you don't have a good digital landing page for it, or destination for it, it's bad advertising.
I think one more thing to remember is that, first of all, people hate change, right? So you always have to, like, a lot of times we're speaking about technology, and the biggest thing you have to work on is culture and making people feel comfortable with adopting something new, making mistakes, promote mistakes. How do you celebrate someone making a mistake so they try again? And it's so much easier said than done, even for a technology company, and I see it all the time around us, working with different types of companies. So first, I think that the most important thing with technology is actually just the human element. Two, is that you also have to ask yourself who's being disrupted and who is potentially even suffering from this change. So in the case of, as an example, ChatGPT and Bard, and Gen AI in general, you have these amazing creators all around the world, from Wikipedia, which is many of us who write into Wikipedia, and all the way to the New York Times, which we're in right now, and all the way to smaller blogs. Who's paying them? Like, who's giving them money for what they create? Who's making sure that they have more content to create? Who's making sure we have more professional writers writing things that matter to 3 billion people that consume the internet, versus just taking their stuff and potentially stealing it a little bit. So, so evil is a short-term strategy. Like, you can't be evil forever, right? So as we think about technology, I think we also have to have this empathy in us as executives and people in the industry and say, how are we keeping all communities that are relevant compensated, and in a way that's fair to them?
I like the theme of evil. I think that's super
I love
interesting.
Star Wars. I mean, if you open it up, I'll go Darth Vader on you. But
correct, right? So we only have a couple more minutes here. So let's stick with evil. Let's go a little doomsday. I think it was.
I didn't mean to be. Everything is going to be great.
It looks beautiful outside.
I'm the most optimistic person you know. The Jedi always wins.
Is it a good Jedi though?
The good Jedi.
Okay.
Ahsoka wins all the time.
Don't spoil it. I'm only 3 episodes in. All right. So now. Doomsday. I think it was Kara Swisher said, I'm not scared of AI, I'm scared of what people will do with AI. So we mentioned it briefly, privacy concerns and how that impacts it. Your point just now, Adam, is really interesting. How'd you get access to this information? So for each of you, in closing, love each of you just say, like, we have important ethical concerns around this technology. Privacy concerns as well. What are your concerns when you think about layering technology for your business? Yeah, it's a lot. Deep.
Go ahead.
Who's going first now, huh?
Yeah.
We should do the whole order thing.
Yeah. So you could go
And I
first.
get to hear what they
since
say
you're-
first, you see?
Yeah.
I'm
They're-
very
everyone's just
strategic.
going to agree.
I've done this before. This is my first rodeo, you know. I always come last.
Yeah.
I get information, I digest, and then I come
You're
out.
not bashful. Yeah. So please, what are your concerns?
First of all, I'm not concerned. I'm optimistic, I told you.
Okay.
No, I'm actually, one thing, look, changes are stronger than us. You know, you can either adopt it and embrace it, or it's just going to take you over. So, like I said, I mean, it's happening. The biggest thing I care about right now is, one, making sure that at Taboola, we allow the mistakes that are about to happen so that we can try and break and try again and eventually be in the front of it. So that's internally more of a culture element. Externally, you know, I spend a lot of time thinking about, like I said, compensation to those people who I care a lot for, writers and journalism globally. I also think there is, you know, you mentioned ethical, which is an important word, and I'm asking myself, if the world is biased already, and it's a bit weird already, and these Gen AI engines are crawling this weird, biased world we live in already, how do we avoid the situation where my daughter, or, you know, is going to ask ChatGPT, give me 100 pictures of an amazing CMO, and then what she gets back is 100 white male, because that's the only thing that was indexed by ChatGPT. Not because the engine is, you know, to blame, because that's what they got in, garbage out. So, and 100 white male CMOs only is garbage, right? So how do we avoid that future thing? So I also think about diversity, like we have an opportunity to actually fix the world with just making less garbage come in and less garbage come out. Now you go.
Now. Yeah. Adam. That's the move. Right. But, I mean, you brought it up before when it came to privacy. I think that's probably got to be top of mind.
Yeah, I'm really optimistic. I mean, to me, the technology, and again, AI is the next step, and there will be something after this. But to me, technology gets better, and just a matter of us navigating our way around it, whether it's the privacy issues, the IP issues, which someone brought up earlier, we have to work around. If you're gathering AI from every other place and you gather behind a paywall or something and without giving proper credit, that's not the right way to do it. So I think there's a way for AI to do this. And so I'm optimistic there. I'm also optimistic the other half of this is streaming video. And to me, I'm optimistic of video. The video created today, the number of sports and news networks and the scripted content and unscripted content are all better than ever. We all watch more video on all platforms than ever before. And it's more valuable than ever before. So to me, there's an opportunity for this video to get a lot better as we use our analytics and revamp the video model to reach more customers in a way that we could all get more value than we're currently getting today.
Great.
Yeah, I'd say the thing that I'm worried about but optimistic about is the idea of laziness, right? Like you hear it, you know, I hear it in the ELT. Well, okay, now we have. We don't need copywriters anymore because we've got ChatGPT. Why do we need copywriters? Or why do we need creative? We've got Gen AI. We've got Midjourney or whatever. But actually, I would say that makes me optimistic because what I found is actually you can hone your brief writing. Like you have to write a really good brief as a marketer to get ChatGPT to spit out some good creative. And so like if we flip that on its head, it's like, let's not be lazy about the technology. Let's actually use the technology to further us. So
it's just a tool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I agree. It's, you know, there's a tendency to think about jobs being lost and careers being truncated, but I think that it's the combination. It's always going to be the combination of the human and the tool and the data that is going to do great work. So we always feel there's going to be a big, like programmatic advertising is something that it's important to us. We sell a lot of advertising on an automated basis through desks and platforms, but you still need a lot of humans to manage the yield on the cost per spot. So I think that's just the beginning of what will eventually become the combination of humans and data, and the best combinations will always win.
That's great. Well, that's a great way to end it as well. How about a hand for these great guys? Thank you all.